Hello, and welcome back to that other part of the show called Mac Movie Review. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about that new Fantastic Beasts movie, The Secrets of Dumbledore. Or Secret of Dumbledore? I think there's more than one secret. Depending on how much you know about Dumbledore. Actually, guys, there are no secrets. If you're a Harry Potter fan, if you've read the Harry Potter books, there are no secrets revealed in this movie. And also mild spoilers. I'm going to be ranting a little here, like kind of a preconceived rant, something I want to address. But yeah, there's going to be spoilers. Spoilers for the movie. Mild spoilers for the movie. I guess not so mild spoilers. It's gonna be spoilers. So spoiler warning if you don't like spoilers. The movie's a mess. You got all these different characters, some of which are really great. I really like Newt, who's a pretty small part of the movie, honestly. And then there's also Kowalski, who is, the heart and soul of this franchise, I guess. I haven't seen the second movie, but I watched the first one in preparation for this one. And I could say that I understood, pretty much everything. There was just a lot of characters in this ensemble character team, that Dumbledore's team that he assembles, and I wasn't familiar with half of them. And they all have their own kind of plots. There's a double agent plot line in this movie that goes literally nowhere and was completely random, completely pointless. All of the time spent with this double agent dude. I don't know his name. I don't remember. I think he's a Lestrange. He has that as his last name. And you may know them from the other Harry Potter movies and the books, the Lestrange. They're kind of a crazy, evil family. The evil goes back a long time. But they basically send him as a double agent. And, he pretends to be on Grindelwald's side. He messes with his memories, and then he goes back to the good side. And there's no payoff or anything. And speaking of no payoff, the movie doesn't really have any payoff by the end. This movie really just ends. You don't feel like we've made any progress. The heroes are celebrating. They're Dumbledore at the end is this is the historic day, guys. This is historic. This is amazing that we did all this. And we're going to remember this. Literally, and this is spoilers, obviously. Literally all they do by the end of this 2-hour and 20-minute movie, is expose Grindelwald as a cheater of some sort, that he cheated in the election. We're going to get to that later in the election. He cheated in the election by manipulating a situation regarding the election to make it look more favorable. And apparently that's why he won the election, even though, okay. I was entertained enough. I think the first 30 minutes or so are pretty boring, but as it progresses, I actually was kind of invested. The 2 hours and 20 minutes went by a lot faster than I thought they would go by, given the pacing of the first part of the movie. It's got some likable characters, and the one thing that this has that I would definitely say the first Fantastic Beasts movie is better, but the one thing this has over that is Dumbledore and Grindelwald. Jude Law as Dumbledore and Mads Mikkelsen as Voldemort are both fantastic. I didn't really get to see Johnny Depp as Grindelwald. I do like Johnny Depp, but I thought Mikkelsen was just really great as Grindelwald. And their relationship, their dynamic. Dumbledore is gay. Spoiler alert. Not actually a spoiler, because I feel like most Harry Potter fans know that J.K. Rowling said this, but we get gay Dumbledore on the big screen. It's finally happened. Here he is. He's gay, and all of his glorious gayness, and he's great. Jude Law is fantastic as Dumbledore. These two characters, when they're on screen, those are the best parts of the movie. Not necessarily on screen together. They don't spend a lot of screen time together, but just anytime we're individually seeing one of them is when I was enjoying the movie the most, and I thought the movie was the most interesting. So yeah, the movie doesn't. It's a mess. It's convoluted as heck. There's whole plot lines that don't have any meaning or reason for existing, and it's altogether pretty unsatisfying the way it ends. And it's clearly just setting up more movies. Bro, they're going to keep going with this Fantastic Beasts thing. And so far, people haven't really liked this movie or the one before it. And they're suggesting, like, we're going to keep making these. And, you know, if it makes money, I guess they will. But, like, it was not a satisfying ending. So I don't think they're going to end it here. Nothing final really happened. But, yeah, I was entertained enough. I think Jude Law and Mads Mikkelsen were fantastic and everything they did in this movie and the way they did these characters. And anyway, for me, it's a 6 out of 10. Like, you know, it's a 6. It's entertaining enough. Now, when I was watching the first Fantastic Beasts movie, there was a few things that stood out to me about, like, the fact that we're getting more glimpses into the wizarding world and seeing how things work. And there's a scene in the movie, and this is spoilers for the first movie, but I'm sure you've seen that. I mean, a lot of people have seen that. Anyway, there's a scene in the first movie where the main bad guy, who everyone thinks is a good guy, is like talking to the heroes, talking to Newt and the girl, Millie, I think her name is. And he's like talking to them. He's like, okay, you guys did something bad. You get the death penalty for doing this bad thing, which there was no proof that he did it. And he's like, and then you helped and you're on his side. So you both get the death penalty, which is like, you know, the most severe thing you could give somebody. He gives out this ruling, and there's like 2 nurses or whatever inside, like 2 like people who work for him, I guess. But they're not evil. Like, they work for, like, the corporation, the Ministry of Magic or whatever that's in America, the Magic Council, and they're like, cool, they get the death penalty, and he's like, kill them right now. And they're like, cool. What? They don't get a trial? Their lives are in the hands of this one guy who's like kind of a highly ranked official in the magic world in America? Just in America. In Britain, the Ministry of Magic, they have a court system. But you can issue out the death penalty, just one dude with no proof, and with no witnesses, and you can just do it behind closed doors, and like, what? Then, the way the death penalty is issued out, they don't just, you know, do like firing squad, or like put the, you know, thing out to your head, like make you fall asleep and kill you. Like, that would make sense. Like, that would take like 2 seconds for them to just put the wand on your head, be like, you know, they could obliviate all your memories or whatever. I don't know if that works if you already, I don't know, that, you know, like stun you and then kill you, like painlessly, or just, you know, Avada Kedavra. I don't think it's, I might be saying that wrong. You know, the death spell, I don't think it's that hard to, I don't think it's painful from what I've seen. It's just, you're just dead. No, they take you to this room, and they take out your happy memories. It's kind of like the pensieve, that thing that Dumbledore has, where you can hop inside of it and go into memories and stuff. There's like a pensieve kind of thing, and they put out your positive, your happy memories in this like pool. And you sit in a chair that hovers over this water. It looks like water. And it's like, oh, these are your happy memories. And then as the scene progressed, the water, the memory water, the happy memory water, like turned into acid. I don't know if it was supposed to do that. It might have been that something, they did a spell and then it became acid. But it's this chair that hovers over, and then the acid kind of moved on its own. The chair like sank a little, and the acid came over. It's like Millie was in the chair, and it came over her, and then it like drips over you and like splashes you with acid or whatever, like kind of slowly, and then you die. And I'm like, is that really how this is supposed to work? If that's not supposed to work, you're not like tied to the chair. If I remember correctly, you're not tied to the chair. Are you supposed to drown in the, is the water acid? Is the water supposed to be acid? Because the scene was unclear. If it's supposed to be acid, if you're slowly lowered down into acid, that's absolutely horrifying. Why is the wizarding world so cruel in the way they administer the death penalty? And why can you give someone that sentence with literally no evidence behind closed doors with no jury or anything? Like, that's crazy. And then there's this wizard prison in this movie, The Secret of Dumbledore, The Secrets of Dumbledore. Bro, this wizard prison with the giant scorpion? One guy. There's one guy who watches who's in charge of this prison. Literally one dude. There's no prison guards. And he's like an old dude. And he kind of sits back in the chair. And Newt says, hey, my brother's, at this prison. I want to visit him. And he tells the guy this. And the guy says, okay, you have permission to go into the prison. And you're just like, okay, so it's like a prison. Like, there's nothing weird or crazy. Like, he's like, oh, you're just allowed to visit. He's like, put your stuff. And this guy's stupid in the first place. Because he's like, put your 2 animals that he spots on him. And put your wand in this little, like, holding thing. Like, this little, like, animal cages, basically. And Newt has a bow truckle. Which I feel like if you're in the Harry Potter world, you should kind of know what this thing does. It's a lock picker. Their whole deal is that they pick locks. And he just puts it in there with like a normal little like freaking lock. And you're like, okay, that's stupid, firstly. But secondly, bro, this prison. You go into this prison, which apparently you are freely allowed to go into the prison for visiting. And he shakes his little thing and he gives him like a moth, which he puts in a lantern. And he's like, you can go now. And so he walks out with this lantern. There's tons of scorpions. Just like every inch of the walkway, of the narrow walkway to get to where his brother is being held prisoner, is just freaking tons of scorpions. And I'm sure nobody knows how to deal with these scorpions. Like, you're not allowed to have magic. What are you supposed to do? Like, they are hostile towards humans. That much is clear. What are you supposed to do? Well, this guy knows how to do the scorpion dance. So he does the scorpion dance. And is able to get to his brother. His brother, by the time he gets to him, is hanging upside down. And he has a lantern next to him. One of the prisoners next to him, there's a lantern by every jail cell where everyone is just hanging upside down by a rope. Okay? I feel like that's not great security anyway. You see a lantern go out next to his brother. And this giant scorpion tail rise out of this massive pit. It's just this massive, it's like a Legend of Zelda temple, just this massive hollow pit, and then there's this long spiral staircase that goes around this massive pit. Giant scorpion stinger arm thing comes out, grabs the guy, he screams when the lantern goes out, which is, a moth. When the moth dies in the lantern, or the moth stops making light, this thing comes out, grabs him, pulls him down, spits back up his bones, which are covered in like acid and currently melting. There's no skin, it's just melting bones, like seconds after the scorpion thing drags him down. That is horrifying. Bro. Also, when does the light go out? Because Newt didn't immediately go to this prison to save his brother. And listen here. When they are climbing up the prison stairs, Newt's lantern goes out. When they're climbing the stairs to get back to the thing, and I'm like, or maybe, I don't remember exactly, is either Newt's lantern, yeah, Newt had a lantern. Newt's lantern goes out. So the time it takes for these lanterns to go out, there's a bug inside. The lanterns are controlled by a bug, is basically completely random. If Newt had not gotten there earlier, we don't know how much time Newt's brother had. That lantern could have gone out and he could have died way before Newt even went down to the prison. What is this prison? This is like the death penalty prison? Like, they didn't make that clear. That was not clear. I don't think Newt knew that. I don't think people who go to this prison know, when you go to this prison, you're going to die. There's literally one prison guard. And also, what did they have, once again, with the whole conviction thing? It doesn't take much to sentence someone to death, I guess. So I guess that makes sense, because he gets caught by, like, some people who are on, like, Grindelwald's side, I guess. And they take him to this prison, but this isn't Grindelwald's prison. This is a prison that is, like, there's several people in this prison. Grindelwald doesn't own this prison. Like, this is just it has to be a sort of a well-known prison, I guess, because Newt knew about it. It wasn't a secret prison. They knew he was at this prison. Like, bro, I have so many questions. These two things, the death penalty and this crazy, ridiculous prison, are not even the weirdest thing that happens in this movie. Jeremy Jahns addressed this in his review, and Jeremy Jahns is a man who loves to nitpick. He will nitpick something so hard. Like, his reviews are short and hyper specific usually. Like he'll be like, I really liked this one specific thing that blah 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 because of and it's just like super subjective. And he kind of made it a point in his video to talk about how do the elections work, and saying the election scene was really whack. And the election scene in this movie is really whack. This whole movie, they're talking about the election. They're like, oh, it's democracy. Like, the people will decide. And there's these two candidates basically, and then Grindelwald signs up after being, after being absolved of his crimes, and he's allowed to be in the election. The scene of the action, so they're hyping up the election. They have they televise it where the election is held, and then the way the votes are cast in this election is way more efficient, I guess, than an election in America. The people vote by shooting up. It looks like, the movie doesn't explain it, but this is what it looks like. You vote by shooting up a symbol in the sky, like a firework of the symbol of the person that you want. They all have a symbol. And there's maybe 25, 30 Grindelwald symbols in the sky. You don't see a lot of other symbols. Somebody shoots a symbol and then someone shoots a Grindelwald symbol over their symbol. So does their vote not count? What? So they shooting up the symbols. And there's a few hundred people at the actual election. Maybe 100, 200. It's not a lot of people. 300 at most, maybe. They call the election then and there after they do the votes for Grindelwald. And then they say, okay, Grindelwald is the leader of the world. Wait, the leader of the... Wait, what? Barely anybody there even voted. Bro, there was not that many in what we see. There were not even any votes really cast, and we see people are watching this election from all over the wizarding world, and those people aren't voting, and those people are obviously the majority of the people around the world who are voting. There's a very small amount of people who are at the actual place voting. Are these the elite people? You have to have an invitation to go to the election? Also, a tiny fraction of the people who were there at the election even voted. What we see is we barely see any votes actually cast in the terms of these fireworks. A very small fraction even voted, if those were votes, which the movie leads us to believe are the way votes are calculated. It doesn't make any sense, bro. This is the most ridiculous nonsense election ever. And it determines the leader of the wizarding world for, I don't even know how many years. That's it. I'm so thirsty. I need to drink something. The new Fantastic Beasts movie isn't great. Thanks for watching the video. Have a great rest of your day.